Hi, welcome to Take 5, where we daily consider devotional thoughts from Oswald Chambers' book, My Utmost for His Highest. Today is April 17th, and the title of today's devotional is All or Nothing. When Simon Peter heard it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment and plunged into the sea, John 21 and verse 7. The focus verse deals with the time immediately following the resurrection, when Peter and some of the other disciples had gone fishing, likely to try and think on something else than all that had transpired, all of which was beyond their comprehension. Christ crucified and yet risen from the dead. Furthermore, Peter too was still wrestling with the fact that at the mock trial of Jesus, he had loudly denied even knowing Christ and then ran away to hide, as did the other apostles. It was now dawn, the breaking forth of a new day, when the apostle John recognized it as Christ standing on the beach calling out to them. Without hesitation, Peter quickly dressed and threw himself into the sea and swam to the beach. He showed no concern for himself. All he knew was that he wanted to be with Jesus. Chambers asks, have you ever had a crisis in your life which you deliberately, earnestly, and recklessly abandoned everything? It is a crisis of the will. This time Peter abandoned all thought for himself or personal safety, for he realized that before it had been only of himself that he was thinking. Now he determined, as Paul would later write as well, to know nothing but Christ and Him crucified. 1 Corinthians 2 and verse 2. Peter had been protecting his own skin, for he feared death. Now he had given up any consideration of life having any value if lived outside of Christ. Chambers tells us you may come to that point many times externally, but it will amount to nothing. The true deep crisis of abandonment or total surrender is reached internally, not externally. The giving up of only external things may actually be an indication of your totally being in bondage. It is an act of false discipleship to think the cleaning of the exterior is an equal substitute for abandoning sin in one's heart. Total surrender must be made in the heart of an individual to be complete and to abandon self to the lordship of Christ. Chambers asks, have you deliberately committed your will to Jesus Christ? It is a transaction of the will, not an emotion. Any positive emotion that results is simply a superficial blessing arising out of the transaction. If you focus your attention on the emotion, you will never make the transaction. OC continues, do not ask God what the transaction is to be, but make the determination to surrender your will regarding whatever you see, whatever it is, in the shallow or deep, profound places internally. While the Christian celebrates Easter, for the Jews there is a season called Purim. In the Old Testament book of Esther, we are told of a peasant girl who is chosen by Ahasuerus, king of Persia, to be his new queen. After a number of years in that role, an edict is issued to put all Jews to death, similar to Hitler's determination to annihilate that same race. Esther is faced with the decision whether to remain quiet and to protect her own skin or come out of the closet about being a Jew and try to save her people. In the end, Esther decides that she will seek an audience with the king to try and save her race from death, saying, so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. Esther 4 and verse 16. Giving up concern to protect her own life, Esther speaks what God lays on her heart of being the greater in value, the saving of her people. And all does end well. Chambers closes with, if you have heard Jesus Christ's voice on the waves of the sea, you can let your convictions and your consistency take care of themselves by concentrating on maintaining your intimate relationship with Him. More important than the wants of the flesh is obedience to the will of God. If you haven't yet read today's devotional from Dr. Chambers' book, I encourage you to do so, for it will enhance the time that we spend together. It's available free online. Also, please share any comments and questions that you might have about today's study. Please share prayer requests as well. And now may God's grace and peace be ours as we seek to live our utmost for His highest. Thanks for being here today. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye now.